I'm Dan Drake. This is Front Up on Geno TV and Channel 99. Our guest is Tess Pearson, who is the executive director, but I don't think, is it that the title?
Yeah,
okay.
it is.
I thought for some reason I had that, something was slightly different than that. Anyway, executive director of Family and Children's Services. Delighted to have you.
Thank you so much for having me.
The last time you were here, you were just getting yourself started in the middle of a morass, which I think has been, well, I'll let you tell people what's happened in just a minute, but the organization came into focus at town meeting because of the motion that was made to supplement a grant from the town's budget to Family and Children's Services. But let's talk about what's happened in the last couple of years since you've been there. How long? It's been 2 years, right?
A little over 2 years. I've been the executive director, and I'm going on 6 since I've been with the agency.
And you don't seem to have any gray hair.
Oh, I thank my colorist for that. No, it's been a very eventful and meaningful transition that the agency's gone through, and I've been proud to be part of the team that's done it. So the last 2.5 years, we've kind of rolled up our sleeves and did a lot of the hard work that needed to be done, and I'm excited to say the agency is at a stable, thriving place, which is the exciting part. We're thrilled to be.
How many clients do you have?
This last fiscal year, we served 23,000 visits.
Whoa.
And at any given time, 500.
500? Yeah.
Yep, and a staff of 28. So we continue.
It's a big operation.
We have doubled our visits, and when I started, it was a staff of 15. So we continue to grow to meet the community need. Absolutely, I could hire 2 more people, in fact. Yeah.
What are the skill sets?
So most of our providers are paraprofessionals, so a bachelor's in psychology, then master's level therapists, so an outpatient mental health substance abuse therapist, to clinical psychologists with doctorates, and then psychiatrists. We provide child psychiatry and adult psychiatry.
Full-time?
Our psychiatrists aren't full-time. We fly them over from the Cape. Dr. Dominic Maxwell is our only child psychiatrist on island, providing medication to kids that really need it. And then Susan Wertheimer is our new adult psychiatrist. We're really excited to have her step in for Lori Robertson.
Good.
Yeah.
So on the financial side, obviously you've got something going because if you're paying 28 people.
Yeah, yeah. So there's a lot of pieces that go into the puzzle. The second shop is something we're really proud of. We moved it to a central location that's right next to Cumbies. We're open 6 days a week, year-round, 8 hours a day. That's a revenue stream for us.
What kind of turnover? Not the net revenue, but what kind of turnover do they have there? Do you know?
Oh my goodness!
Total sales?
I mean, I couldn't even tell you. Thousands of items a day. We have 3 staff there now, and we are so thankful of the generosity of the community to give back. And then it funds free services at the agency. The other part was internally. We needed to, from checks to balances, rehaul. So I'm proud to say we've now moved over to electronic medical records after 65 years of paper.
I remember that was a big issue.
It's huge. Yeah. It's huge. And then we have technology as our backbone. Everyone has laptops. We're using everything synthesized. It provides us to be mobile in the community. So every day we're in the public schools, Boys and Girls Club, Strong Wings. And then, grant writing. I had a private foundation who supported me in a large way, have a full-time grant writer that ends up fast and furious. We applied for 33 grants for over $2.3 million, and we've been the recipient of 8 for $500,000. So that's the backbone of any not-for-profit, is really all of those pieces working.
I think some of those foundations need some education in how to make the process simpler.
I'm open to any feedback. I wish it was easier too.
I'm involved in the Nantucket Fund distributions, as you know, at the Community Foundation. I keep hammering away at that point.
You do great work.
It should not be that complicated.
Oh, it is.
I know. How is your clientele broken down between, let's say, under 18, let's say up to age 6 or 7 or so, under 18, and then adult?
I would say half of our clientele are under 18, and a bulk of them are 8 and above. So we have very few little people.
Right.
The youngest we usually serve is about 3, and even that can be a stretch for mental health counseling or really medication management.
Right.
But we can do some early intervention, and we partner with our sister not-for-profits for families who may have children that have early developmental disabilities. Our population looks like anybody in our community. It can be teachers, kids in the high school, marriage counseling, psych testing for switching careers, and medication management for anything ranging from anxiety to depression. People get the blues.
Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely.
Nantucket.
Yeah, we're proud that we serve those that need it most. In particular, we provide English as a second language. We have 3 master's level therapists that are either bilingual or multilingual. So Spanish speaking, Portuguese, French, Patois, and Russian. And we slide all the way down to 0. So for those that are in the trades, landscapers, painters, even new hires that don't have health insurance, we help people get the treatment they need.
How many of your client visits end up being free?
About 70% are mass health, so that could be considered lower income families, and about 15% of that would be sliding fee. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's
a
a
great
big chunk.
service. It's a great service.
It's rewarding. Every day that I go in there, it feels exciting to be part of someone else's journey of improvement.
What about this whole question? I know there are some meetings in the next couple of days on it, the whole issue of addiction, and particularly opioid addiction. But addiction covers a lot of different
Absolutely.
substances.
I'm proud to partner with a lot of my other mental health providers and substance abuse providers, and as the co-chair of the Behavioral Health Task Force, we're excited to be hosting a community forum this evening. We try to do once a month some type of talk. Last month we showed the HBO documentary Heroin, Cape Cod, and I think it's bringing awareness to addiction can creep into anyone. It's not discriminating on race or gender or class. And a lot of people end up starting addiction with prescribed pills, a legitimate pain source in which they take it, and pain
And
is
has
subjective.
the emphasis on pain management in the medical profession contributed to that, do you think?
I think that the doctors are doing the best that they can. No one's at fault here. I think that there's a lot of prescribing that is now being monitored, and it's helping from people going across state lines. I think doctors are giving really key information about the risk of becoming dependent on these pills, and I think they're trying to do more med checks more frequently instead of sending someone with a 3-month supply of Oxycontin saying, I'll see you next week and we'll take it script by script. Many doctors are also really informing people that they could take Tylenol or heavy-duty Advil instead of an opioid.
What is the biggest addiction issue on the island right now? Is it that?
It is heroin.
Heroin.
Alcohol addiction has always been something that is prevalent in all communities. We definitely see it in rural, hospitality-based communities, but heroin has really, in leaps and bounds, impacted Massachusetts, in particular the Cape and Islands.
How do people who really don't have any experience with this, how can they assist in identifying and dealing with people who show signs of addiction? I mean, what are the signs? First of all, can they be helpful or should they not be?
I think any time you can bring up the conversation about what someone's really seeing is helpful. Those are mini interventions, and they chip away at a big question of what's going on. Opioids are sedatives in many ways in that they slow down people's reactions, a little bit sweaty, eyes dilated, people nodding off, clammy. Through the progression of addiction, people start to miss things that are important to them. They start showing up to work late, missing picking up kids at appointments, oversleeping for things. Money all of a sudden goes a little bit scarce, and people can start from legitimate pill use to sniffing, smoking, and then IV heroin use. So any loved one who sees someone who's just not themselves, who they know their loved one to be, saying, I'm worried about you. And I think that there might be something that you're using to deal with how you're feeling. Can we talk about that? There's hope out there. There's a lot of choices of how to get clean.
and then give them your phone number. Not
You
your
know,
personal phone number.
there's a lot of us in the field that are working together on this. There are amazing private practitioners that are seeing individuals. We also have the Family Resource Center at the agency, and we provide 6 free substance abuse groups a week. So without insurance,
Sort
without
of equivalent
needing,
of AA type of thing? Or
this
is
is
it?
led by a therapist. So this is psychodynamic in principle.
How many people would be involved in something like that?
It's one therapist and whoever ends up showing up that day. Sometimes it's 2 people, sometimes it's 7. AA is a peer-supported 12-step recovery in which there's a lot of sharing. This is therapeutically based on the underlying emotions of which people use addiction. And then, of course, we have individual therapists and medication management supported treatment on island. Dr. Lepre is doing an amazing job with Aileen Womack for their Suboxone and methadone program.
What was the issue between Family and Children's Services and the Contract Review Committee?
You tell me.
Was it they really didn't have enough money in there? They thought their budget was not enough, or did they seriously have problems they expressed with what Family and Children's Services was still doing on the financial side?
I think that they work really hard. They're a volunteer board that really does due diligence for all of the 16 not-for-profits. What I can say is there may have been a communication breakdown, and we've been transparent from the get-go. That's been one of my foundations that I lead the agency by. We put the initial request in for $120,000. Last year we were awarded $100,000 towards sliding fee. With Access closing their doors, we did apply for the money that was previously allocated for them because we wanted to do harm reduction, especially in the throes of what's going on with the heroin epidemic on island. During the town meeting, Marita Scarlett was brave and courageous and an advocate for everybody in the community who wants to see more mental health treatment and substance abuse intervention, stood up and called the article. I was deeply moved by the clients and the teachers and the community members that stood up and said this is life-changing work that the agency and my team does. And we could apply for more money. We do recognize we are the largest recipient of the funds, but there were additional funds still left in there. We weren't the only ones that were recommended less funding than we applied for.
But there has, as I was talking with Selectman Holgate,
Yes.
Hill Holgate, not long ago, the issue, the town's budget for human services has been flat, and so
It's gone down over the last 15 plus
right.
years, and I feel like mental health and substance abuse is as important as education
sewers.
and sewer. That the wellness of the community is everyone's part. It's teachers, it's people in Stop and Shop, it's the Postal Service, that if our community is not well,
And you
we
read
all
about
feel it.
communities in other areas that are really suffering,
absolutely.
more than is visible here, at least.
Well-
And you know, very small communities in Maine and elsewhere that just are dying because of this addiction problem.
And I hate to reference our very recent past in which we have had a slew of suicides. This is a community that needs careful attention and attending to mental health and substance abuse. This is not something that we can really afford to put on the back burner. As our community continues to grow, as our demand will, and additional funding needed to help the people that want to get better. So we are very supportive of the Board of Selectmen and the community for stepping up and saying, absolutely, this isn't a time we can cut any funding.
What good news do you have for us about the mental health of this community?
You know, I can say every single day it's really exciting to see couples stay together when they're contemplating divorce. Kids that are graduating when a year ago they were on the brink of dropping out. People celebrating 2 years of sobriety. That's day in and day out who I see walking through our doors. And I'm really excited that we're putting the focus on prevention, promoting wellness through our Family Resource Center, which is 40 free hours every single week of programming. Case management, support for youth diversion, school support of how to navigate an IEP, a 504, parenting
What's an
groups.
IP? What's a 504?
All these acronyms, we start with jargon. They are supports in schools for public schools and for private schools to help children really identify challenges and what strengths they need to succeed, whether it's modification in a classroom or teachers explaining things differently. Our parenting groups are amazing. We have some teen groups. We have a teen group on Saturdays that are 16, 17-year-old girls that get together and talk about how to improve their self-esteem, deal with depression, and really avoid any kind of self-harm behavior, which is exciting.
That's great.
Thank you.
Well, keep up the good work, and thank you for coming and sharing it all with us.
Thank you for giving me an opportunity to
Tess
be here.
Pearson, thanks.